going to be covering not only how to make a panoramic image span all 5 of your scrapbook photos here on Google Plus in your profile, but also how to have several different photos rotate through, as you can see right now. It's a good way to highlight several of your favorite images, also show off a bit of range to anybody that is visiting your profile. You'll need to open up the scrapbook frame template file that I provided for you in Photoshop. It's a TIFF file, and also any of the images that you want to use in your scrapbook section. We'll want to open those up as layers in the scrapbook frame template file. You can see over here on the right, I've got 5 layers open up here with different photos in them. And then there's two groups included in the template file as well. Obviously, when you open up the template file, my photos won't be in there, but you will find these two groups. We have the Pano template and individual photo template groups. Right now we're going to be working with the Pano template group. Go ahead and expand that, and you can see it contains one layer of Pano clipping mask. That's what you're seeing on the screen right now. Once you've got all your photos open in layers here, we'll want to select all those photos, and I'm going to move them into the Pano template group right on top of the Pano clipping mask. So I'm just going to get them in right on top. You can see they're in the group now. I'll go ahead and make all those visible, and you can see as I make those visible that some of them actually fit in there pretty well, because most of these I've sized already, like this image. This image of the lesser goldfinch, obviously not so much. So that is one that I need to fix. But before we get to do that, we want to see how these images are going to look in our scrapbook photos. So what we want to do is create a clipping mask using the Pano clipping mask layer. Since I have all my images already selected here, I simply need to go up to the Layers menu options and click on Create Clipping Mask. Alternatively, you could right click and select Create Clipping Mask as well. Once we've done that, you can see all the image layers are being clipped by the Pano clipping mask, and it's showing us exactly how our 5 images will look in our Google Plus scrapbook photos section. So let's look at the image underneath this lesser goldfinch here. This is one that's already been resized and fit for this purpose. The lesser goldfinch photo obviously is not working so good right now, so I'm just going to move this layer. Let me make sure that one is selected only. I can move this down, and I may need to resize it slightly. Go ahead and transform the layer, and I'll bring down the size slightly, just so more of the head will fit into one single scrapbook photo and not span across so much. Now I can move that. So that's going to take a little trial and error on your part. Now I've got all 5 of my photos here, and you can use as little or as many photos as you want. At this point, what we need to do is open up our Animation tab and go up to Window and Animation. And you'll see our Animation tab open here. A couple things that we want to do right off the bat, just to avoid confusion, is if you see your Animation tab looking like this, you're in Timeline view, and it'll say Animation Timeline. That's a little bit more complex, certainly more than what we need for our purposes today. So down in the right bottom corner of the Animation tab, you'll see a button that is Convert to Frame Animation. We're going to go click that. You'll see a much more simplified view here. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a little drop down menu currently says once. This is to select the looping option, and we'll want to have this loop infinitely. So click that and select forever. Okay, so right now we have our first frame of our animation visible, and you can see that right now it's set to display for 10 seconds, which is a little bit long for my taste. So I'm going to open up the drop down menu. You can see there's a list of preset all the way from 0.1 seconds to 10 seconds. I'm going to choose other and do 3 seconds. Obviously that's an arbitrary decision. I'm going to select that now because each one of our frames afterwards will automatically take that 3 seconds into account, which I can change afterwards if I would like to have different images displaying on the screen for different amounts of time. What we're going to do now is go down to our duplicate selected frames. It looks like the new layer button. Click that and basically you'll see an exact replica of our first frame. It's very simple to go over to the layers tab. In our case, whatever photo that you want to display next needs to be visible on top. So all I'm going to do is hide my lesser goldfinch photo, and you can see now down in our animation frames that the image has changed to this sunset scene with storm clouds. I'll hit duplicate again and just continue the process. Let's say my next photo down is this photo of a couple mallards in a snowstorm. Maybe I don't want that one to be next. Maybe I want my lizard photo next, so I'll hide the mallard photo, click new. Now maybe I want my mallard photo, so I'll make that one visible, and since it's the uppermost visible layer, that one will show up in our animation frame. And we have one more photo to go, so let's click new. We'll hide these top two and have this photo of the Grand Canyon visible. And then you can see we have 5 different frames here. Each has a different photo. They're all set to display for 3 seconds. You could change any individual frame to a different amount of time if you opted to. I'm going to keep all mine at 3 though. At this point, it would be a good time to save the TIFF file if you think in the future you may want to pull out one of your photos from the rotation and add in a different photo. This will be a good starting point for you. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and save our GIF images that we'll be uploading into Google+. So to save our GIF files, we need to go up to File and choose the Save for Web and Devices option. It'll open up in a separate window. We can see our 5 images here. In this template file that you downloaded, I created slices, and that's what we're going to be saving. And it's pretty much automated, so this makes it very easy to do. One thing here, make sure that our file format is set to GIF, and as long as you have not changed the dimensions of the file, which is very important, it should be saving 150 pixel by 150 pixel GIF files. So go ahead and click Save. And the Save As name truly is not important if you're using the template file that I've provided, because each one of those user slices has a separate name, and when we save this, it's going to be saving all 5 of those user slices with the pre-selected names. So this area honestly isn't important. Go ahead and select your location. I have a folder on my desktop called New Scrapbook Images. Do want to make sure that the slices option here is set to all user slices. That'll ensure that we only have to do this process once. Go ahead and click Save. So now we should have all our images in a folder created. I saved it to the New Scrapbook Images, and you can see Photoshop created a folder within that named Images, and in there we have 5 GIF files named Scrapbook.mov. dash photo underscore 01 through 05. Those are the names that I've given the slices, so all your photos that you save out of that template in that manner will have these 5 names. And this is the order that we should upload them into Google Plus as well, starting with Scrapbook Photo 01 and ending with Scrapbook Photo 05. So now we need to upload our images into Google Plus. There's a number of ways to do it. You can go into your Picasa web albums and access your scrapbook photos from that location. You could also go up here to your Photos tab, go to your albums, and into your scrapbook photos as well. Probably the easiest way to do it, though, is to go to Edit Profile, hover over any of your scrapbook photos, and click there, and then you'll notice that I can delete all of these photos just by clicking on them. I'm not going to do it, but once you delete all your photos, you'll then be able to upload your new photos, and we'll want to upload them in order, as I said, from 01 to 05 for them to be properly aligned left to right. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes your photos may appear to be out of sync and not rotating at the same time. This is generally because the images are not loaded into the browser's cache yet. Once they are, if you navigate away from the page and then back to your profile, they typically will fall into sync. But it is something to consider for other people viewing your profile. It is probably the first time that they've seen your profile, so they will not have those images in their browser cache, and it may appear out of sync for them as well. So I've included an individual photo template group in our file. Let's go ahead and hide the Pano template and images, and then we'll expand the individual photo template group. And you can see that there's 5 clipping masks in that group. So I'll go ahead and hide one of the clipping masks. You can see that each clipping mask is going to correspond to an individual photo. So you can use these clipping masks if you would prefer to have 5 individual columns, if you will, of photos rotating. And that way, if they aren't all rotating in sync, you don't have a broken panoramic picture appearing. Currently, my scrapbook images contain a small delay, so it almost has a domino effect from left to right as it flips the pictures over. That gets a little bit more complicated. Perhaps I'll cover that in another tutorial. Hopefully this one has been educational. Feel free to comment if you have any questions.